Greetings, Tim Bennett here from the Cortland Voice. I'm here with City of Cortland Mayor Brian Tobin. We're here to discuss the attack on the Capitol, and we're also wanting to speak on where we're going to go from here as a city. Mayor?
Thank you, Tim. Great to see you.
Great to
I
see
just
you.
want to say hello to everybody. And like many of you, I watched the events at the Capitol building that unfolded this past Wednesday, and a range of emotions, but a sense of disbelief, grave concern. And I know that we've experienced, all of us, a lot over the last 10 months that's unusual and challenging. But unfortunately, in my view, this could be the biggest challenge that our society is facing yet. It was an assault on representatives of a branch of our government, and it was while they were tending to the people's business. Our business was disrupted. And I know many of you are still following the events that are developing and seeing what's going to happen. And we're thinking about our future. And I wanted to speak directly to the people of Cortland. And I appreciate, Tim, thank you for this and the ability to do so through the Cortland Voice.
Of course, anytime.
So let's talk about what happened and where do we go from here? Protesting is a fundamental right in the United States. And it happens all the time in our country, and it happens in a variety of ways. And we may not always agree with what a group is protesting for or how they choose to do it. But I hope you respect their right to protest. Wednesday's protest was fine. When people gathered and they wanted to have their voices heard, that was fine. But there was a line. And the actions that took place at the Capitol building, those actions were not acceptable. And I hope and I ask, because we all need to agree that what happened, where a mob overran the nation's Capitol Police and occupied the United States Capitol building, that was wrong. And it's a simple question of value, and we have to agree on this. Why do we have to agree on this? We have to know what we have in common regarding our beliefs. So we can preach and practice different religions. We can raise our kids differently. There's a lot of topics that we can disagree on and accept that. But when it comes to basic safety, we need to have a collective understanding of what the expectations are for all of us. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what we need to agree on and why it might be dangerous not to. So our federally elected representatives, they should be allowed to safely do their jobs that we elected them to do.
Agreed.
When is it okay to physically threaten or intimidate someone? And even here at the local level, you have a disagreement with a neighbor, or maybe somebody cut you off in traffic that you don't know. When is it okay to use violence? And that evening, Mike Pence said it, and I firmly agree with him. Violence is never the answer. We do not take the judicial process, throw it away, and make decisions ourselves. Second, police defending a federal building should have been respected, not attacked. These officers who were simply guarding the building and its occupants when it was overrun, and there were clashes, there were altercations, and at least one, at this point, Capitol police officer has died. Dozens others injured. Again, Mike Pence said it, I agree, violence is not the answer. Well, for some of us, this may not really sink in yet because it happened in DC. But as mayor for the city, I've asked myself the question, what if this had happened in Cortland? Not a federal building, but what if it was a city building or a county building? I think regardless of who the mob consisted of, we would all be appalled. This would be an affront to all of us here. Third thing that I ask that we all agree on, that politics over the past several years has become more and more polarized, and it is now tearing at the very fabric of our society. So we have reached a point in American politics that is a watershed moment. And we can go one of two ways. We can make the decision that we want to ramp down the rhetoric and get back to the days when we could discuss important issues civilly. Or we can continue down the current path. And for anybody to think that the current path will not lead to more bloodshed, loss of life, or other ills is not being a student of history. So again, there's three things that I hope everybody in our society here in the city of Cortland that we can agree on. Electeds at the federal level should have been able to do their job without any sort of interruption. The police that were guarding the Capitol building should have been respected and not attacked. And finally, we need to recognize that the rhetoric has become too strong, and we need to find ways to communicate with one another civilly. So I'm asking anybody who is concerned about the future of our country, regardless of political affiliation, Democrat, Republican, third party, independent, help us, help your community, help make neighbors more comfortable talking to one another, help ease the tension between family members who disagree politically. We need to talk more about what we value and what we have in common and not be torn apart by some of our disagreements. I have been in communication with the City of Cortland Common Council, and we will be issuing a statement on Monday on our opinion on what happened. And I encourage everybody, listen, think about where we are and what do we need to do? How do we move forward as a society? What can we do? Well, taking some time. What we do in terms of social media posts, staying away or really thinking, type it, go away, come back, and then decide if you need to edit before sending. Put away the political symbols. Doesn't matter. Shirts, hats, signs. Show empathy to others. Because remember, we are all still under stress and have been under a fair amount of duress for at least 10 months. And some of us are still grappling with the outcome of what's been happening, politically and otherwise. And in addition to feeling a wide range of emotions, we may not have as much patience as we ordinarily do. So we need to be empathetic. And if we give it some time, we can then come back and talk to one another. Here in Cortland, we're not going to change the decisions that are necessarily made in the nation's capital, but we are going to set a course for our community, and we can choose what our future here will be. When I first ran for office, it was a neighborhood concern that got me involved. And over the past 13 years as an elected official, I've worked diligently to represent everyone to the best of my ability. And I pledge to you moving forward, I will continue to work for all of us. And we all need to know that we're here for one another and to be able to have discussions about what our priorities and values are. So I'm going to put out an offer, and I hope people take me up on it. I want to have dialogues with you. And in particular, if we don't agree on some things, let's talk about where we disagree, but more importantly, where we do agree. And how do we resolve disagreements? So Tim Bennett, the Cortland Voice, I'm going to work with him, and we're going to have Zoom meetings periodically. And we are looking for people to ask questions, share your thoughts, and be heard. Tim's going to share a link. But our first one, we're going to schedule it for January 18th, which is Martin Luther King Day. That gives us about a week to maybe catch our breaths from what has happened. 9:30 in the morning, January 18th. It's going to be via Zoom. I'll say the link here, but I know Tim will do a great job of promoting it. The Zoom link is 892-739-1872. That's 892-739-1872. And if you cannot make a meeting with myself, I'll come to you. It could be a church, a fraternal organization, employees of a local business on a Monday, a group of neighbors. We can schedule a time to talk, and I promise to listen. But I want to let everybody know I do appreciate your time, taking some time and listening to me as I talk about these things. And I want everybody also to know that you're not alone. There's a lot of emotions that are running high right now. And we can and we will get through this. And we will all be stronger for it.